All right. Greetings, YouTube. This is Beautiful Mind. So I actually had a question come in from College Algebra, Section 2, Question 53 on circles. Let's take a look at it. So this is an extra credit opportunity, and I'll go ahead and make it big since the quarter is almost over. If you are able to just leave a comment, if you're one of my students in any of my classes, if you're listening to this, leave a comment. I'll give you an hour. So the time now is 3:15. I'm checking the timestamp. Anybody that comments, just makes their presence known in the comment section so that I know who you are. I'll give you, let's say, let's do let's do double bonus points today. We'll do double bonus points. Okay. So the time is 3:15. So anybody that makes their presence known in the comment section before 4:15 today, I'll give you double bonus points. All right. So this question comes in again from section 2 out of college algebra. I think it's question 53 or something like that, 59 something. So one of the students requested it on my math lab. So let's take a look at it. We're asked to find the shortest distance from the origin to the graph of the circle with the equation below. Okay, let's see. So find the shortest distance from the origin to the graph of the circle with the equation given below. So we have this equation of the circle, and the first suggestion is to transform the equation to center radius form, where h comma k is the center, and r is the radius of the circle. So so now one of my mentors suggested that every time we use a formula, write it down. I know we have it there, but I'm going to write it anyway, just because the repetition is what locks it into our memory. So if we're talking about the center radius form of a circle, again, we're saying x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, right? So now, let's see. So first, we already have our x terms grouped together, the y terms grouped together. I'm going to move the constant to the right-hand side. So here's the original, all right? Seems a little bit, okay, here's the original. So we have x squared minus 6x plus y squared minus 10y. Okay, here's the original, plus 25 equals 0. So then if I want to move the constant to the right-hand side by subtracting 25 on both sides of the equal sign, right? Okay, that's going to cancel. All right. So then on the left, now we have what? X squared minus 6x plus, we can go there, y squared minus 10y equal to a negative 25. Now, at this point, what we want to do completing the square twice to get this in the proper form, right? So the first thing, what's today? It's kind of gloomy outside, so I'm going to choose a gloomy color. I'm going to choose gray for today, right? So now, the first thing for completing the square, we want to complete the square on these x terms, right? The first task is this leading coefficient needs to be a 1, right? Okay, so it's already a 1, so we're good to go. Okay, so then the completing the square is what? B over 2 squared? B over 2a plus or minus. Let me see. Yeah, I think that's it. Mm-hmm. B over 2 squared plus or minus. Yeah. So when we go to complete the square, we have this x squared minus 6x. Let's see. I'm going to say, so our b in this case is negative 6. So I'm going to say plus negative 6 over 2 squared. And what we do on one side of the equal sign, we have to do on the other. So on this side, if I bring down my equal sign and this negative 25, I also have to do the same thing. So I got to say this plus negative 6 over 2 squared, right? Is it b over 2a? No, that's the vertex. Okay. So that's the x coordinate. Let's go ahead and do the y coordinate as well. So we have this, right? Again, notice the leading coefficient is already a 1. So we're going to say b over 2 squared. So the b in this case is going to be negative 10. So we're going to say negative 10 over 2 squared. What we do to the left side of the equal sign, we also do to the right. So negative 10 over 2 squared, right? This is looking good. Let's keep going and see what happens. Now, if I have any mistakes, I do plan on correcting them. For added bonus, if I do walk away from this, and if you're my student and you are able to bring a mistake to my attention, um, I can give extra credit for that as well. So I usually give extra credit for that. My job is to be accurate and precise. Your job is to keep me honest. So don't let me lie to you. Okay. Let's keep going. All right. So then if we crunch these numbers, we'll get x squared minus 6x. What is that? Negative 3 is plus 9, right? Then we have y squared minus 10y. That's a negative 5 squared. What, 25? 25. Then we have a negative 25. We have, what did we say, plus 9 and plus 25. And just to be consistent, I'm going to do like this. Nope, let's back up. We did this one, right? We did that one. We did these two. Nope, drag this, that, this, and for consistency's sake, okay? All right, it's looking good. So now, if we look at the first three terms, right? So if we were to focus on the first three terms, what we can factor that. What does it factor into? Ultimately, you should be able to get it to factor into x minus what, 3 squared, right? And then the second one factors into what, y minus 5 squared. And then on the right, notice these cancel. This cancels this. All right. And then we just have 9 on the right. Okay. And then to take it one step further, to put it all the way in the proper form, we're going to have x minus 3 squared plus y minus 5 squared equals, what is it, 3 squared, right? So notice this is the proper form. Let's copy this. Copy right here. And we're going to paste. Okay. That matches there. That matches there. And that's there. Okay. So now it should be clear that our h is 3, our k is 5. So the center of our circle is going to be 3 comma 5, and the radius is 3, right? So let's graph this now. Let's look at this circle. So let's draw a circle with the center at 3, 5 with a radius of 3. Right? Let me get some graph paper. Come on. Text box. It's kind of huge, but it's okay. Go away, come back. Paper. We want graph paper. All right. Another extra credit opportunity, because it's the first time I'm doing this all quarter, the first time people are really starting to ask questions. If you have any kind of YouTube experience, whether it's graphic design or creating intros and outro and you're my student, I can offer extra credit for assistance with that as well. I need like a logo, whatever it is, to kind of do a better presentation on YouTube. If you can assist with that, I can throw some extra credit your way. Okay. So, so I'll be checking the comments, and everything is there. Let's keep going. So now let's see. So we said a circle. So say this is the origin. That should be fine. Let's go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4 is fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need a little bit more, honestly. So I'm gonna move all this down. Can we stretch it up? Yes, this is exactly what I want. Okay. Oh, everything got off. Okay. All right. It's looking okay. And then we'll just go down by a few. All right. It's here, right? With a radius of 3, so that means this is our circle. That's part of the radius. 1, 2, no. 1, 2, 3 is here. And then so on and so on. Let me insert a figure. Insert a figure. I would like a circle. Oh, you know what? Actually, let's undo that. There is a way to do that. Hang on. Let me hit done and let me delete. How did I do that before? Yes, there it is. So once I lift my pen, it won't So let's try this. We're going to go here, kind of like that, right? Boop. And I think that's about right. Let's see if that worked. Looks good. Okay, so we need to bring everything down. And then let's extend this a little higher. We are going to scrap that guy and extend this further. Let's recenter our image because it got off center. That looks good. Just being meticulous because I have time. You know, I don't have to. I was actually about to go out for a run, and I got this. This looks okay. Is that right? One, two, three. One, two, three. It doesn't look centered though. So let me do all the points. I don't think this is right. One, two, three is here, right? One, two, three is here. So let me fix my circle. Okay. So then let's try this. One, one, two, three. One, two, three. So the thing is, this is like a new feature. It's been here for a while, but I hadn't really used it like that. Why can't I get this to fit proper? Oh, it might be. Okay, I think this is actually good. Still a little big. Anyway, you get the gist. So that's the circle. Being meticulous. Okay. So we graphed the circle. So now let's go back to the original question. Well, we can leave the grid paper for now. So now if we go back to the original, we're asked to find the shortest distance from the origin to the circle. Okay. So now information that we know. So let's look at this line. I'm gonna go there, like that. So look at this. If we go from the origin to the center of the circle, we have this. So it looks like the point in question is this point here, right? So let's label the center point A. That doesn't work. Right here. Let's label the center of the circle A, and let's label the origin B, right? So it's not guaranteed that this point is halfway between A and B, but we want to find the distance uh, from the origin to that central point, or that point near the center, right? So what we can do is find the distance of AB and then just subtract the distance. Like this. Come on, paper. Here it is. So now, again, so let's look at the distance formula. So if we want the distance between A and B, that's going to be, run out of space. Go here. That's going to be, what is that? The square root x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared, square root, right? So what was A? What's the center of our circle? 3, 5. So if A is 3, 5, and B is what, the origin? 0, 0. So since we already have our 2 points, I usually just kind of like to do the following. Just automatically go x1, y1, x2, y2. Let's plug those into our formula. So then here, this is going to be, and I guess I should move it to the bottom so we have space. Just cut that, that's fine. And then we got this. Let's cut it. Paste. All right. So let's plug in what we have. Plug it in, plug it in. All right. So then it's going to be square root x2 is 0. That's fine. We can switch the order, but I'm just going to be consistent. So we're going to say 0 minus 3 squared, and then 0 minus 5 squared, right? So the distance of AB from the origin to the center, what is that? The square root of 9 plus 25. What is that? That's 34. So it's going to be the square root of 34, right? So the distance from A to B is the square root of 34. So we know the distance from A to B is the square root of 34. The radius, we said, was what, 3? So then our desired distance should be what? the distance of AB minus the radius. So we'll just label this as x, right? From here to here is x. We said the radius is 3 from here to here. So then x should be the square root of 34 minus 3. And this is indeed the correct result. Okay. So hopefully that wasn't too bad to follow. But I'm doing a live stream. I'm not really checking. Let's see, top chat. I'm looking on right now. Let's see, who do we have on. I didn't really do the live chat. I wanted you guys to kind of use the comment section so I can check it later. If there is a comment section, did I disable the comments? I may have. Live chat. Okay. I do have a student there. I see you. I see you in the live chat. It's probably a good idea to leave it in the comment section because I think once I close it out, the live chat is going to be gone. So I'll go ahead and make a note of who I see on right now. Let's see. Can we get to the comments? Maybe there aren't any comments. Okay. Well, I'll figure that out later. I do have at least one student that I can see. So with that, we will end the session here. Hopefully that helped. So some notes. You definitely, if you weren't able to follow my presentation for completing the square, you definitely want to do a search for completing the square. So there's a lot of very little subtle nuances in that procedure. It's pretty routine, but I know that tends to give students a hard time. So other pieces of information that were pertinent. So notice we did completing the square. Might be spelled wrong. We did completing the square. We did the distance formula between 2 points. What else did we do? Are those the main ones? Those are the highlights from this. Okay. Graphing. We did graphing. We also did a center radius form of the circle, center radius form of a circle. Okay. So these are things that question that was given. These are the underlying concepts that are going on. So you want to be sure that you're proficient in these. What else? I think that's it. So with that, we will end the session here. And from one beautiful mind to another, enjoy the rest of your weekend.